So basically, law enforcement was yelled at by the courts for trying this invasion stuff. And law enforcement were basically told, you guys are criminals, you've been taking part in crimes, and all your BFFs are basically criminals. People like Assad, who are narrating in the trial, I can guarantee, is a criminal who has not only committed the wedding incident crime, been fully involved in it. He knew about what Bushra Akhtar was about to tell me in 2019, which is the only incident anyone was about to tell me anything. Assad never cared about a single thing about it, never reported it. Law enforcement knew about it, never cared a thing about it. In 2023, 4 years afterwards, law enforcement were busy running money fraud and sex schemes the entire year, very aggressively ran both of those things. Yeah, so courts basically told law enforcement straight out in 2023, if there's an invasion, you guys are part of it, because all you've done is BFF with criminals, committing crimes, covering over crimes, running sex schemes, money fraud since day one. Okay, at least he, as in me, he had the mental maturity as a child, as soon as regaining the slightest bit of mental maturity, to actually start helping his mother out instead of doing these stupid things that you guys have been doing since 2001. They basically got yelled the crap out in court in 2023 with this invasion crap that they start. And because of that, like one day they're doing their invasion ads on YouTube, the next day they're walking around with their head down out of embarrassment from getting yelled at in court. And the courts are basically right. From day one, from the day I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, all I've done in life is work hard with my mother. That's it. And all I did was work hard with my mother. I would go work. I would work 2 jobs, as Miss Dev will tell you, to finish school later on. I would even go sleep on the side of the streets. And before then, law enforcement should be a witness to the fact that I would run on 2 sandwiches and a pack of ramen noodles for months in overseas pharmacy school. Law enforcement should be a witness to all of this. I went through all kinds of abuses to finish school, and me and my mother worked together. I worked at Home Depot, so much so that I saved up enough money to leave behind a car at home for my mother to run on through my sister. I worked really, really hard in life. From the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child still, I worked hard in life, and I was never seen in any setting where anything even remotely considered bad could be said around me. Law enforcement and their BFFs, on the other hand, have been running sex schemes since 2001 with Uncle Joey's in-laws without the least amount of care about anything bad that was being said or done anywhere at all, to the point that law enforcement, till the very end, was busy doing nothing but running these sex schemes and money fraud the entire time. And yeah, and this is what's going on since 2001. These are not children. These are grown adults. They couldn't care less about anything that was going on. That was all that law enforcement did since 2001 with Uncle Joey's in-laws, later on even money fraud. They couldn't care less in 2023 about the wedding incident or what Bushra Akhtar was about to tell me in 2019. Their BFFs like Assad couldn't care less about any of this stuff. They were all fully involved in all of these crimes. Law enforcement was covering over them, and yeah, and they couldn't care less. They wanted to blame me for it only because they found out about my triple savant, which has absolutely nothing to do with anything. And the courts were basically right in 2023, telling them that at least him, as in me, I had the mental maturity to help my mother out as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, whereas law enforcement, all they've been doing the entire time is running sex schemes and money fraud. They were an adult in 2001, and they were an adult today, and they're still running their money fraud today as we speak. And if I was ever present in any settings as a child where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me, for one, it would have been law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey. And the other thing is, it would have only been, well, my mother would either be at work at fast food restaurants during the daytime or working at factories at nighttime. Biggest evidence of this would be the fact that my mother would not be present at the setting where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me. And that as soon as I would gain the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I would never be in any setting where anything even remotely considered bad could be said around me ever again throughout my entire life. Biggest evidence of this fact is the fact that I wasn't even present at the setting that the law enforcement tried to frame me for. So yeah, this is basically what they've been doing. And at the end, when it's time for time let me study and use my brain stuff on, they start using their invasion stuff. These are just storytellings. And law enforcement needs to be asked a simple question: what have you been doing since 2001? Because all law enforcement's been doing is sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws, money fraud, money which is still being transferred right now as we speak. And law enforcement arranged the unemployment disability fraud and the savings that are being used from that fraud right now as we speak, that is being wire transferred right now. Because of this, law enforcement's never been able to use these talking points themselves. They give it to people like Farah the Greedy Framer. Farah the Greedy Framer in 2019 accused one of people in law enforcement, U.S. law enforcement, of trying to rape and murder her, due to which she went and she complained to Indian intelligence about it. The only reason she did this was due to finding out that the person who was in U.S. law enforcement was acting like he was a big shot was actually really poor and broke in real life, and Farah was not happy about this, that she had to sleep with someone whom she didn't think was part of her socioeconomic class. So she basically, in order to get revenge, what she does is she goes and tells Indian intelligence that a person in U.S. law enforcement is about to rape and murder her. It creates such a big scene, and she's so good at fabricating false testimonies and exaggerating them, that Indian government had to go not only lecture Joe Biden on human rights crimes, but also Indian government had to inform me while I was living in the U.S. that my dad's younger sister was about to get raped and murdered by someone in U.S. law enforcement. That's how much a big deal Farah the Greedy Framer created. Only for for us to find out later on that Farah the Greedy Framer's brother is talking to the person who was supposed to be raping and murdering her. She doesn't care about it. The next day she is back to business, trying to make sure that my brain savant couldn't get freed so that no one else's daughter could get the money her daughter couldn't. Yeah. This is the kind of people that law enforcement is trying to give their talking points to, people like Farah the Greedy Framer, only because Farah the Greedy Framer is really good at making false testimonies that are fully exaggerated. We know it was exaggerated due to the fact that Farah doesn't care if her brother's talking to that person. Now she got her revenge. She created the chaos that she wanted to create against that person. Now Farah cares about this due to the fact that Farah the Greedy Framer was running after me the entire year of 2024, just like how Miss Deb was for Farah the Greedy Framer's daughter, her abnormal-looking weirdo daughter named Zara, whom she wants me to marry, basically. And even right now, for the past week, every single day, Farah the Greedy Framer, since June 16th, has been sending me ads for her abnormal-looking weirdo daughter named Zara, and I've been saying, no, I don't want her, I don't want her, I don't want her. Every single day, she keeps sending it to me. The reason is, Farah the Greedy Framer is really good at fabricating false testimonies, and she was fully involved in the November 20th false testimony against me. We know this for a fact because as soon as it was announced that there was a government informant, Farah the Greedy Framer was immediately removed by the government from the spokesperson stand, which means that she was obviously fully involved in that false testimony that created so much mass panic and chaos after the one that she did in 2019. 2019 one, basically, Indian government had to go lecture Joe Biden on human rights crimes. That's how much panic she created, only for us to now find out that her brother talks to that person who was supposed to be creating this human rights crime by raping and murdering her, and her brother talks to him all day, night long. She finds out about it. She doesn't even care. So obviously it was exaggerated because it wasn't something that one government had to go lecture Joe Biden on human rights crimes about, or else she wouldn't take it so simply right now when finding out that her brother is talking to the person who was supposed to rape and murder her. He talks to him all day, night long. She doesn't care about it, even after finding out. So basically, yeah, November 20th, we just saw again Farah the Greedy Framer, expert at fabricating false testimonies, exaggerating it. After November 20th, no news anchor on CNN was able to smile on live TV for days. November 27th, Governor Josh Green is seen saying confusion is the enemy. We have to remove the confusion over here. Confusion is the enemy. Why was there confusion? He wasn't talking about the vaccine confusion that he was supposed to be talking about. That's what these people did. They created so much confusion and chaos that the government had to basically put aside their important issues at the time to deal with November 20th false testimony, to find out how much of it was true, how much of it was false, only for us to find out in the end that the crime and setting literally did not even exist. It was fully fabricated. And so Farah the Greedy Framer was fully involved in fabricating and exaggerating November 20th false testimony. We know this for a fact from the government informant testifying that, and she was removed from the spokesperson stand immediately afterwards. That's how good Farah the Greedy Framer is at exaggerating false testimonies. We know this from 2019. We know this from 2025. In 2019, she got one government to go lecture Joe Biden on human rights crimes because she claimed that person from U.S. law enforcement was about to rape and murder her. That's how much chaos she created, only for us to now find out that the person who was supposed to rape and murder her talks to her brother, my dad, the Greedy Framer, all day and night long, and all she says is, "Oh, that man was supposed to rape and murder me." And the next day she goes back to enviously trying to lock up my brain savant for my dad, the Greedy Framer, who we know is the main person who wants her to do this because of the fact that he doesn't want my mother to get the brain savant money that he wants for himself. She did this again on November 20th, 2025, created mass panic and chaos over a crime and setting that didn't even exist. And what she didn't know was the next set of lies she was going to make very aggressively was already confessed to the government informant, due to which the next set of lies in, I think, early February that she was making very aggressively in court against me to, again, try to enviously lock up my brain savant was already confessed to being a lie by her sister or her to the government informant, where the person told the government informant by saying that after the November 20th false testimony, we're going to make these lies against him. That way, we're going to make sure that his silenced brain savant cannot get freed under any circumstances. No one's getting this money from his brain savant if we're not getting it. After she's caught with these, what she does is she tries to get illegal assurances of money through incest. March 7th, she sends me a porn star named Sunny Leone's picture with her name Farah written on it, even though she was told on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. that this is an open advertisement for incest. When she's caught with these lies and she's caught with a November 20th false testimony, and she has a history of making exaggerated false testimonies that are so much exaggerated that one country has to go lecture Joe Biden on human rights crimes, she knew that illegally getting illegal assurances of money through advertisements on incest using porn star's picture with her name Farah written on it was the only option that she had. That's what she tried on March 7th 3 times. And so then after that, she tried more lies very aggressively that forced the government to retrieve phone conversations, only to find out that these were lies again. So right now, I'm sorry, the courts got played for a fool. She was basically only doing this due to extreme envy of not wanting anyone else's daughter to profit off of my brain savant when her daughter was not able to do so. And right now, for the past week, since June 16th, she's been sending me ads for her daughter. Wait, hold on a second. Before this, she also sent me blackmail price tags for millions of dollars after the incest thing was done, as another way of trying to get money out of me after the phone conversations were retrieved. Yeah, these people play the courts for a fool. That was the second method of trying to get money out of me. First one was illegal assurances of money through incest. On March 7th, she sent me a porn star's picture with her name Farah written on it 3 times, even though she was told on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. that this was an open advertisement for incest, but she wanted illegal assurances of money before my brain savant could get freed, so she tried it anyway since her lies from even after November 20th were caught. Then after the phone conversations were retrieved, she tried blackmail price tags of millions of dollars on me before my brain savant would get freed to check to see if I was willing to give this money or not. Right now, she has a third method of trying to make this money. While she's narrating against me in this trial, she's sending me ads for her daughter's abnormal-looking weirdo daughter named Zara every single day since June 16th. To force me to marry her daughter. Obviously, if the marriage is by force, she's not going to let me have prenups, which means that afterwards, if I try to run away or do something, even before I could get my brain savant work done on the zero tolerance coffee that I'm supposed to be working on, that artificial intelligence has already said that I have the highest chance of being able to get done, she will obviously try to get money out of me in one way or another. This is the third method she's trying to get money out of me. And right now, the thing is, this is the third method, and law enforcement gave their talking points to her. People like Farah the Greedy Framer. So this is basically what's going on. All I'm asking is, I want to be able to study. It's my God-given right to be able to study. There's nothing wrong with studying. And law enforcement couldn't care less about anything that anyone could have said bad around me as a child when I was being adult supervised and my mother was working at fast food restaurants. We know this is the truth, since my mother would not be present there, and if it was nighttime, then my mother was obviously working at factories. And so basically, yeah. And so law enforcement couldn't care less about this, since if there were crimes that were committed by people like their BFF Assad, then law enforcement would cover over those crimes, only to try to frame me in 2023 and get yelled at by the courts for doing so. By now, law enforcement is trying to frame me for the wedding incident in 2023, a 10-year-old child claiming in 25 years later in mid-January 2026 that I said anti-government things to him when I was a 10-year-old child at elementary school. Apart from that, you also have the group chat false testimony made by the monthly money taker whom the wire transfer money goes to overseas. I mean, yeah, you've got multiple false testimonies. November 20th, law enforcement knew about before I even went to Russia, which is why they were panicking before I even went to Russia, because I knew about their previous false testimonies, and law enforcement started to panic before I even went to Russia. All four fully fabricated by law enforcement, since they knew about all four being fully fabricated. And now they're trying to take bogus talking points against me. These talking points, by the way, even if someone said anything bad around me, does not work against a child anyways. It works against the adult who said it and the adults who knew about it in law enforcement, who did absolutely nothing. So from that time till now, except for run sex schemes and money fraud. It's to the point that in 2019, Bushra Akhtar was about to tell me something about something bad. I interrupted her and told her I didn't care. But 4 years later in 2023, law enforcement was aggressively running their money fraud, unemployment, disability fraud, wire transfer to law enforcement's own friends, and aggressively helping Uncle Joey out with sex scheme ads at the funeral, clearly showing they couldn't care less about whatever Bushra Akhtar was saying, whatever the wedding crime was. They didn't care about anything. Only for them to try to frame me for as much as possible when they found out about my brain savant. I mean, this is all that law enforcement has done from day one till now, which is exactly why I know for a fact it was law enforcement who tipped my dad, the Grady Framer, in 2011 when my dad was giving sermons on mass murder of innocent human beings, due to which we don't even know how many people joined terror groups or how many people have been mass murdered. I know for a fact law enforcement tipped them off, since my dad, the Greedy Framer, stopped doing that abruptly, very suddenly one day. And my mother, on the other hand, for more than 25 years, has never uttered one word considered bad her entire life. Not one word considered bad her entire life. And if I tell my mother that I would marry someone of different faith, like Jewish, she'd give me such a good answer at the mall that I'd be like, man, if only I asked this at home. Which is the kind of person she is. If she sees like a Nazi symbol on my TV, she still treats me like a child, and she'd be like, is that a Nazi symbol on your TV? Never uttered one bad word her entire life. Okay, that's the person I was raised by since I was a child throughout my entire life. And these are the kind of people law enforcement are. Right now, they're going to start their invasion crap on me. Okay, if there was an invasion, law enforcement would be doing it, since history and records show, proofs and evidence to show that since day one, since 2001, all law enforcement's done is run sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws, money fraud. Fall later on, they couldn't care less about anything. And all they did was try to frame me for things that I have nothing to do with, which is why I won my case on August 25th, 2023, and throughout the entire year of 2025, especially on June 28th, 2025. And every single narrator law enforcement has had only been working due to greed and envy, with people like Fire the Greedy Framer trying to get me to marry her daughter since June 16th, every single day afterwards and on that day. And people like Miss Deb, who have been trying to get me to marry her daughter, who's married, by the way, every single day from that same time period. Miss Deb and Fire the Greedy Framer are both competing with each other now. Who could get their daughter married to me? From the past week, every single day. These people were all working on extreme envy, that due to which they wanted to lock up my brain savant so that no one else's daughter could get the brain savant money. Their daughter couldn't. And now they're working on extreme greed to make sure that they could get their daughter married to me. And the weird thing is, Miss Deb's daughter is married, which means that she's going to have to kick out her son-in-law for me to get married to her, which is not happening, by the way. Yeah, I just had to let everyone know that this fight right now is only about me being able to use my brain savant, and I'm only using it to be able to study. That's it. And law enforcement is going to make a big deal about it, even though someone being able to study is a right that even only in the slavery era of American history was anyone inhibited from doing so. It's never happened before. Even in the Middle Ages, no one would get locked up just to inhibit them from being able to study. It's no secret that what artificial intelligence has said has happened in the 1 minute long test on April 22nd, 2025, 6 hour long test, August 9, 2022, 1 minute test on November 14, 2025, 1 minute test on May 10, 2026, is what's going to happen at the end of 30 minutes or 1 hour or 24 hours. We know this for a fact. I'm not psychic. I don't know what the artificial intelligence report says. All I know is I'm telling the truth about my brain savant, which is why I'm able to tell what the artificial intelligence report says. We know what's going on over here. Okay, it's not a really big secret. The fact of the matter is law enforcement is going to fight tooth and nail to inhibit me from being able to study, but no one's been inhibited from being able to read. I mean, I just want to study with all my brain savant powers. It's never happened in human history since like the slavery era of American history. I just want to study with all my brain savant powers. That's it. I don't want anything else. I just want to study. That's all I'm asking for. Okay? And law enforcement's only inhibiting me due to their sex schemes and their sex addiction. Law enforcement's basically scared that if they let me study with my brain savant powers, then I get power over these girls and they lose even more power, and they're already getting rejected by these girls right now as we speak. If you don't believe me, ask law enforcement to do a simple 30-minute brain savant test by simply letting my brain savant go for 30 minutes and seeing how it performs out in the open for the human eye to see. They will never do it because they're getting rejected by these girls right now. And in order to fight against me being able to use my brain savant to study, they're going to fight with every tooth and nail to make sure that my brain savant cannot get freed only due to their sex addiction with these girls. That's all this fight is about. They've been running their sex scheme since 2001, money fraud, with money still being collected right now. And yes, everything is under oath still, that if I'm anything short of Kim Peek Rain Man at the end of the 30-minute brain savant test, under oath, then I'm going to put it under writing that law enforcement won their case fair and square. Because they did run an investigation. My entire theory against them for why they wanted to frame me due to my brain savant doesn't exist. But we all know that artificial intelligence is not a liar. And what it said it happened in the 1 minute long brain savant test is obviously what's going to happen at the end of 30 minutes. That much is common sense. And also, I'm not psychic, which means that I cannot read what the artificial intelligence report said from all the tests, like the May 10th, 2026 test, which means that I'm telling the truth about my brain savant. Or else, how would I know what artificial intelligence said about my brain savant? So yeah, there you have it. I just want to be able to study. That's it. It's not a crime to study. I just want to study with all my brain savant powers. It's not a crime to study. And law enforcement is going to make all these crazy theories about why I shouldn't be allowed to study. And people are being given these theories of people like Fire the Greedy Framer, who have a long history of being framers, fabricators, and exaggerators, who've made countries go and lecture Joe Biden on human rights crimes, only for us to find out her brother's talking to the person who was supposed to be raping and murdering her, and she doesn't even care about that. So, and the other thing is, she's trying to get me married to her daughter by force for the past week, since June 16th. I've been saying, I don't want your abnormal looking weirdo daughter. I don't want her every single day. She's still trying to get me to marry her daughter. And Miss Deb is doing the same thing since June 16th. They're both competing with each other, try to see who's going to get me to marry their daughter, which neither one are, because I'm not interested in that. I just want to study right now. It's not a crime to study. I just want to study. That's all I want. Okay, and they're gonna make all these crazy theories about me, invasions and this and that, and you have to look at who's talking. Law enforcement, if they talk, simple question is, what have you done since 2001? Fire the Greedy Framer talks, simple question is, you have a long history of exaggerating and lying. 2019, you made an entire country go and lecture Joe Biden on it. Why don't you care that your brother talks to the person who was supposed to be raping and murdering you at that time from U.S. law enforcement? We know he's from U.S. law enforcement. Well, anyways, and then Fire the Greedy Framers, November 20th, false testimony, and then subsequent lies that were already confessed to government informant as being lies, then more lies that were had to have phone conversations with truth. Talk about being played for a fool. But yeah, this is the third method of trying to get money out of me before my brain savant gets freed. Is the forced marriage to her daughter without prenups, obviously, because she's doing it through force while narrating in a trial against me. And yeah, this is the third method. First method was incest on March 7, 2026, even though she was told that, look, this is open advertisement for incest on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. She didn't care. She wanted the money illegally assured to her because she was caught with second set of lies even after November 20th, since someone had already confessed to the government informant. We're going to make more lies against him after November 20th just to make sure his brain savant can't get freed, and no one gets the money if we don't. And so yeah, then second method was blackmail price tags. Plain out price tags. $60 million blackmailed me 9 times. Law enforcement's a witness. Okay, they use law enforcement to blackmail me with these price tags. Geniuses that they are. They use law enforcement to blackmail me with these price tags. How stupid could you be? Like, talk about being retarded. Like, if you want to blackmail someone with price tags, millions of dollars, I understand the fact that you've been caught with so many lies that it's no point of you trying to even argue against me in court. But if you want to blackmail me with price tags of millions of dollars, don't do it through law enforcement. You're going to have witnesses in law enforcement then, and you do not want that. That's like hiring someone in law enforcement to go rob a bank. Like, you're going to have witnesses in law enforcement. You do not want that. Well, anyways, that's what Farah did. Farah, the greedy framer, got law enforcement to send me price tag blackmails of millions of dollars before my brain savant would get freed. Second method of getting money out of me after March 7, 2026, trying to send me incest requests through a porn star picture named Sunny Leon's picture with her name Farah written on it, even though she was told on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. this is an open advertisement for incest. She still did it because she was desperate for illegal assurances of money before my brain savant would get freed. And right now it's forced marriage since June 16th. I've been saying every single day, I don't want your daughter. I don't want your abnormal looking weirdo daughter named Zara. And she's still trying it because she wants me to, she wants a forced marriage without prenups, obviously using narrations in court as leverage. And then she's going to try to get money out of that. Yeah, these people are insane. And Miss Deb is doing the exact same thing she's doing. They're both literally competing with each other, even though I've been telling both, I'm not going to go with either one of your daughters. I just want to be left alone by these people. But my point is, studying is not a crime. Okay, it's never happened in human history before. I just want to study with my brain savant powers. That's all I want. Law enforcement is going to make crazy excuses, but law enforcement has to be asked a simple question: what have you been doing since 2001, and what have I, Hassan, been doing since I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, which is nothing but working hard with my mother throughout my entire life. You got to look at facts and evidence, records and history over here. Thank you very much.